Hello and welcome to the History of Drum and Bass series presented by myself, Threllabator, a new series which I'm going to be starting, showcasing you where drum and bass actually came from, where it originated from, how it changed over a period of a number of years, into how it really evolved into today's drum and bass that we all love and hear so much of. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get right into this. Kicking it off, we go back to the 60s in America. An American folk band by the name of the Winstons puts out this single. On the A side, you've got Colour Him Father. On the B side, Amen Brother. Now, you may be wondering, if you don't know already, where I'm going with this. But on the B side of this track, called Amen Brother, is a 7-second drum break called the Amen Break. Now, this break is the most widely used sample in electronic music history. Widely renowned for being just crisp, clear, but perfect. How all the individual parts of the break are lined up in time. And this actually did get itself a gold record in the first year, sold over 1 million copies. So I'm going to play the B-side up until the break, so you guys can get a bit of an understanding of where the jungle and drum and bass breaks kind of came from. And actually, just before we start, you got 3 sizes of records mainly. You got your 7-inch here, you got your 10-inch here, which is normally dub plates or special editions, and then you got your standard 12-inch. And they rotate at either 33 revolutions per minute or 45. And a quick note, the 45s actually do mainly sound a bit better than 33s. You get a bigger dynamic range, so it's actually a little bit louder, which is more noticeable on some records than others. But anyway, let's get into this. Right, so in case you missed it, this is the break again. There you go, 7 seconds of music history gold. So, drum and bass can't really be narrowed down to just one person in one place at one period of time sparking it and just making it into drum and bass. It was over a period of years and lots of things happening and people coming together to really create a scene that we know and love today. But the original kind of jungle breakbeat sound really originated from hip-hop and the hip-hop breaks that were used, and then those hip-hop breaks being sped up to a much quicker rhythm to about the kind of 160 BPM range, eventually to kind of 170. But the first kind of real example that I found is by a pair called Shut Up and Dance. Now, their first single here, called 5678, which they self-released and sold out of one of the members' Ford Escort's car boot. It's actually an awesome track, which they didn't really intend to be a raving track. They actually intended it more to be a hip-hop track. They wanted to be hip-hop MCs, but ended up kind of creating jungle, well, not really creating jungle, but they almost ended up creating the spark for jungle by accident. Anyway, let's give it a little listen.
On the turntable we have a new 45.
Now I'm just going to bring the tempo up a little bit, just for this little opening section, so you can see what I mean about how it's progressing to a jungle sound. You see already, it's got that kind of tempo, that little bounce to it, you know, that you hear in drum and bass. But this was all the way back in 1989 this was released. So back in 1986, the two guys that made this, Smiley and PJ, teamed up with DJ Daddy and a guy called DJ Hype, who you may or may not know. And they built a sound system together, and they put on loads of nights. They put on illegal raves in warehouses, forests, fucking anywhere, you name it. And it took them 3 years to actually like produce their own stuff and to get it self-released, because no label actually wanted to put their own music out. So they did it themselves, and really they helped spark something incredible. So we're going to move on to the next track, which actually is by them again. This is it here. You see they kind of upgraded a little bit. Got the artwork on the cover. And this one's called £20 to Get In, which is a remix of their original tune, which they put out before, called £10 to Get In. So I'm just going to start off by playing the B-side first, which had the original tracks on it. And then on the A-side, it has a £20 to Get In, which is the remix.
Turn it down, guide stove. Turn it down, guide stove. Turn it down, guide stove. Fucking loud.
A very, very famous sample that is. You might have heard it in a few tracks. And these guys are one of the first to use it. And see already it sounds quite acidy, quite housey as well there. I listened to the remix and how much they changed and how how much closer it got to a drum and bass sound.
You told me where the meeting place is for that jam happening tonight. What's it called? Zenity, Energy, Remedy, happening down at Sabotia.
Well, mate, what you do, you go round the roundabout, you see the light, you turn left, you go in the flat, and you see a petrol station, right? Stand there, mate, we'll pick you up, right?
So how much is it to get in then?
It's 20 quid, mate.
20 quid? I thought it was £10 to get in.
No, man, it's not a remix.
So basically, right there, what was happening was that was a phone call between someone wanting to go to a rave and somebody who's putting the rave on, and they're asking where to meet up because back then there was no social media to get out, where a rave was. So you'd have to go meet at a petrol station or something, and then you'd follow one car because it was all very secretive, and they would, be a really, really long convoy of cars just going from one petrol station to a rave. Anyway, here we go. Let's play this out for a couple minutes. Alright, so let's move away from Shut Up and Dance and onto 4Hero, who originally formed back in 1989 when two friends from college who could already make sound systems met up with a guy who could make radio transmitters, and they made a pirate radio station called Strong Island FM, and then they recruited a big DJ called Dego to join, and before long they had started to release on their own label called Reinforced, and this is the second release of that label. And I'm going to be playing to you today the second track, which is called Mr. Kirks Nightmare. Now the white label of this was pressed in October of the 1990s, so this record came out, I believe, right at the end of 1990, towards the beginning of 1991.
Mr. Cook,
Yes?
do you have a son named Robert? Robert Cook, age 17.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cook. You better come down to the station house. Your son is dead.
Now, just quickly, this was an advert that was placed on TVs on so I mean like all TV programs that you would see pretty much, because back then you only had about 3 or 4 TV channels. You had like BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, and maybe like BBC Four or something, and that was really it. So most people saw the same adverts, and this was one about raving.
How? He died of an overdose. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Come down to the station house. Your son is dead. Mr. Cook?
Yes?
Your son is dead.
Now I'm just going to play this little part at the end here, because this break goes in hard.
Mr. Cook?
Yes?
Your son is dead.
Love the way that sample comes right back in there. Alright, so that is it for today's episode. If you have enjoyed what you have watched and listened to, please like, comment, and hit me up with a subscribe on the YouTube. That will be much appreciated. I will be back in a week or two with episode 2 of this series. And rest assured, there will be quite a few, because there is a lot of tracks to get through, obviously, starting in the late 80s, the early 90s here, and making our way up to 2020. But it will be done. This is History of Drum and Bass series presented by myself, Fred Avator. Catch you all next time.